you have back pain when you golf? I'm going to show you a great exercise that works on hip mobility and mobility in your thoracic spine, which are the two biggest culprits when people do have low back pain, is they don't have enough mobility in those two areas. My name is Ada Wells. I'm a physical therapist, certified Pilates teacher. Stay tuned as I show you my favorite exercise for working on these two areas. All right, so we talked about having limited hip mobility can create a lot of problems in the golf swing, because if you don't have that mobility, particularly into internal rotation, which is actually what this left hip is in right now, what's going to happen is that on your backswing, well actually on your backswing, if you're a right-handed golfer, it will be your right leg that will be an internal rotation. But during your backswing, if you don't have the rotation there, you're going to probably end up doing something else to compensate in your low back, and that can create a lot of issues in your low back later. So this exercise, just the setup of it, is a great way to work a little bit on hip mobility. Now, as always, make sure that you talk to your physician before starting any new exercise program, because these exercises aren't always appropriate for everybody. Okay, so what we're going to start with here is we're going to do a little bit of a hip mobilization. We're going to allow this hip to rotate forward and back. And it's just this little small prep exercise here. And this is just designed to mobilize the hip. Now, if you have any pain anywhere else, stop. Okay, we never want to have pain with these exercises, but we're just creating a little sense of mobility in that hip. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take our roller. So in this case, I have this pink roller, but you can use any roller for that matter, anything cylindrical. We're going to go ahead and place our hand behind our head, and I like to have that elbow just a little bit in the peripheral vision, okay? You're going to keep, your right arm is going to stay down, so the shoulder's going to stay out of your ears as you go ahead and you side bend to one side. Now what I'm doing here is I'm pushing down into this roller as I'm reaching my ribs on the top side up towards the ceiling, and then I come back. So I'm creating this oppositional force that instead of being a compression as I'm side bending, it's almost like a little traction. It's like a little bit of a pulling apart motion by just me activating these muscles, okay? Now, I might do that 3 times. Maybe on the 3rd time I'll come over and I'm going to take that top arm and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rotate forward. Now, if you have low bone density, this is not an appropriate exercise because we're going to go into flexion. If you have good bone density, we're going to keep going. All right, so from here you're going to go ahead and just reach it forward, but try to keep your opposite rear end down on the floor. And you're going to feel this big stretch that's going to occur on this right side, or your left side, sorry. And then from here, we're going to slide the shoulder blades down, and you're going to imagine that you're just reaching the sternal flashlight, this little part of your chest, up towards the ceiling, and your head is just following along. So we're going to bring it back down, going into that stretch, and then we extend the spine into this little back bend position. So this extension rotation position is actually the position that your spine ends up in the finished position. Now here, like I said, I'm doing this as though I'm a left-hand golfer. That being said, remember, people that play, rotational sports a lot of times have this asymmetry, and asymmetry is usually the biggest cause of pain. It's not so much that they have relative, have weakness in some area, but it's really the differences between weakness, the differences in mobility between the two sides. So I oftentimes like to start on the non-dominant side first, or my stiffer side first, because typically I tend to stretch a little longer on that side than I do on the second side. So just a little tip there. So that little mermaid exercise, a great one for working on mobility in the hips, just because of the position that you're in, and also working on some mobility and just extension in through the middle part of your back. All right? Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you like what you saw, make sure that you go to www.probalance.tv. Comment on how you felt with this exercise. If you had any issues with getting into the position, there's certainly many modifications that we can do for it. So write any comments you might have had and let me know how it goes.